refocus. So that last ending of my stream was kind of a lost cause. I should have just stopped the stream to begin with, but I didn't. My apologies. It would have probably been better had I stopped it, but so yeah, there's that. Sometimes you just do goofy things, you know? I mean, ultimately, what is this saying? You know, I don't think I don't think this is working. I don't think my chat updater is doing the job. I mean, my chat updater, which does YouTube, probably works fine, but um, I'm noticing that my special little tool, or that my this thing, dang it, stream information updater, is not updating my streams. That's what I'm talking about. If I go here, go home, see if I'm actually working. Oh yeah, this is still not updating correctly, is it? Even though I did an update, it's not working. I did not realize that my updater doesn't update. In fact, nothing updates. For whatever reason. Oh yeah, I ran an update, but it's not doing the trick. So my apologies to all you folks who've been watching me going, how come you keep using the same title over and over? Well, apparently my updates are not happening. I ran an update. Why, you ask? Well, I asked the same thing. So my apologies. I have an update all titles thing going here. How come you keep using the same title over and over? Well, apparently it's totally and completely not working. Why, you ask? Huh. Well, I asked the same thing. Even my little tool, which I built specifically for this purpose, but does not work. It's totally and completely not working. Why, you ask? Huh. Even my little tool, which I built specifically for this purpose, but does not work. So I sign in with this, go in with that, Effective Mind Gamer. So even though I do, see, I'm trying to see. I edit. So even though I do, see, I'm trying to see. I edit. This is the only thing that seems to work. Even though I do, see, I trying to see. Don't know why, to be honest. But this guy is supposed to do it too. And I hit save. Don't know why. Yes. They refresh. But it's saying it's getting the right data, but it's not actually getting the same data. And I hit save. Yes. They refresh. It's saying it's getting the right data, but it's not actually getting the same data. Do I want Taco Bell today even? I don't even know if I want Taco Bell. I know some days you're like, yeah, I could go on there and try to get my Tuesday Taco Bell. But do I want my Tuesday Taco Bell? Do I want Taco Bell today even? I don't even know if I want Taco Bell. Maybe it's not a good thing today. I know some days feel like I'm missing it. Yeah, I could go on there and try to get my Tuesday Taco Bell. But do I want my Tuesday Taco Bell? It only goes till 2 o'clock, or at 2 o'clock. So I always give myself like 1 minute so I can get logged in because stuff happens. Maybe it's not a good thing today. So if I go here and I set this and I say refresh, or refresh. See, I refresh it, it's getting the values I sent. It only goes till 2 o'clock. Which is exactly what I put in there. So I always although it's not very, like 1 minute so I can get logged in. It's not very cool. Stuff happens, but so if I go here and I set this and I say refresh, or what did I get? I don't even know what I got. I just clicked on it. It's getting the values I sent, which is exactly what I put in there. Although it's not very. Oh, I did get it. It's not very cool. Yay! I don't even know what I got. What did I get? A Mexican pizza. I just had one last week. Oh, a Mexican pizza and crunchy taco supreme for $3. So it's actually not $1, but I'm getting two things. So I suppose that's something. Anyhow, so let's see here. Did it update anything? Is my stream updated? You're looking at it going, Mexican no. Pizza and crunchy taco supreme for $3. So this, when I refresh, and two things. So I suppose that's something. Oh, now it'll work. Now it updated. I don't know what the heck's going on. Why it sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't. Let's go see what did my last one update? We'll go to my videos. Upcoming. I don't even know what these upcoming are. I don't have no upcomings. I don't know how these upcomings even happen. May 9th. No, I'm not upcoming in May. I don't even know how those got put in there, to be honest. Upcomings do something or other. I don't know. All right. So the one I did here, see, I did go in. It did show the update there, but they're like going in wonkers. Huh. So my apologies on that. See, you get all the fun when you my tags go in. My tags went in nice. I have programming here. See, the advantage to using my little tool is it gets rid of the restream statements, which I'm sure Restream loves that I work my way around that. Get rid of their little streaming with Restream. Okay, so it does look like it updated. So yeah, 76.1, what I'm working on now. So we can get rid of this. It is weird though. It's like it updates and loads itself into different states. Okay. I need to get team tackles. All right, it looks like I do got total team tackles. This is what declared but not used. So we're going to go here. And we have their total tackles divided by, how about team total tackles? This will tell me what their percentage is. But then it's actually what I want is, let's do this team. Do it this way instead. Team tackles per game equals get total tackles per game. What? I don't have a thing for that. It's just supposed to be team tackles divided by the control modifiers. Yeah, control modifier. Games in season. Okay. So we're going to get team total tackles per game, and then we're going to say game. But I think I want to use my games played, adjusted games played functionality, which is a thing I created for the sake of helping players games played skill modifier. I think I actually used it up here. And then we'll go down here, tackle. What this returns is a decimal point variation that allows me to give a little bit of an enhancement. I should just return this as a 1 point something instead of doing this player.games played. Blah, blah, blah. Here, games played. Player stats. Wonky. You know what? I'm going to do this differently. Well, the thing is, why is this so hard? Be right back. So the problem I'm having right now, all right, so you have adjusted games played. I think the problem is I'm trying to use it for multiple purposes. I want to use it positively and negatively, which is probably not the best way to do it. I should, I'm gonna change this. We're gonna call this adjusted games played. And then I'm not going to call it a modifier. I'm going to call it adjusted games played, which just means I can take this entire thing out. Put it in this. The thing is, what this does, I have to figure out a way to give people a higher. See, the thing is, adjust. Okay, so here's the premise of what I'm trying to do, so you can get an idea with what I'm trying to accomplish here. If a player is a third down specialist, okay, so they may not start in every game. So I have this games played test. They may be they may not start in any of the games. Let's say they only start in one game at it, but they play in 16 games or 15 games. So what they end up getting is a games played number, right? So they have a games played, like say that they played in 15 games. But the problem is they only played on third downs. So if they only played on third downs, that means they only played in approximately a quarter of the plays or third of the plays that the team played in. And it's really hard to tell because you don't know when they played or how they played or what was their conditions to play. Maybe they only played on long passes, which at the end of the game could be every time, every play. You never know what the reasoning is for why they played when they played. But the point is, they played fewer plays. So measuring them against all the plays when they only had opportunity in half the plays is a little wonky, right? But I want to give them a little bit of credit. So basically we give them a multiplier that says, okay, well, you did this, but in order to it's like, and that only works in some play. Like I wouldn't use it for availability because availability cares about that stuff and actually will increase your chances or decrease your availability. So the idea is that you won't get to play a guy who does really well on a third of the plays because he's just going to get hurt or fatigued or whatever. He just won't be able to keep playing for you, but he might be really good on certain situations. So in order for that to work, I need to have like a modifier, like a games not started modifier. And I think huh. Yeah, I think it's gonna have to be called a games not started modifier. I don't, it's not a games played modifier. It's really about adjusting for their not started. Oh, do you need me to open the garage door? Telling you your car is going to be dirty again. It'll just be bug colored. Oh, you're going to spray it on the windows? Be nice if you could put something like that on the body of the car, like all around the the front of the hood and stuff, so that it would be. No, I know, but if it can give like some kind of a coating or something you could put on the front of the car so that it would deflect them, so they wouldn't stick to it as much. Rain-X probably helps some too. Maybe on your lights. The only problem is it always leaves streaky, foggy stuff. Planning, planning, planning. That's how it goes. All right, so I don't know if it's adjusted games played I want either. I just want to give them a bonus, like how much of a bonus do I give them though? Because I don't know how much, but I want to give them credit for a relation to. It would help if I knew how many snaps they were in. Then I could do a real logic, but it doesn't seem like that. I was looking online. It doesn't seem that snap count is a thing. I mean, somebody has it. There must be some logic because if you have every play's stats, you should be able to figure out based on how many plays ran, how many times a player was in it, like every single play's stats. But do they keep track of snap count? I don't know. I mean, maybe they don't keep track of every play. Maybe they only care about the results of a play. So there's 11 guys in the field, but only the quarterback touched it and he threw the ball. Maybe they're not paying attention to whether or not running backs were in the play or all the linebackers or DBs who didn't get involved in the play actually play. They're not watching for every single player on the field. Could be. I mean, if they don't make a tackle or don't do something, they have no reason for their name to be called out. They end up being a guy who just goes into the ether. So, but I think I want to give them a 25% boost for games not played. So games not started. We'll start with 25 and we'll go from there. So let's just do something simple. What I wanted to do is make it a reference to the actual games played, but I don't think that's going to work. So I am going to just use a game modifier and we'll do games not started logic. And I'm just going to get rid of this function. I don't think it's going to be a thing. And then I will just give them like a plus on what they accomplished based on like maybe 25% more plays. Well, you can't do that because we don't know how many plays they had, so we can't just give them more plays. 25% would be a lot. For the actual skills. If we divide their stats by the games they started. Yeah, they didn't start in any of them, though. That won't work. And 25% more feels like a lot, because if you don't start in any game, that would be excessive, because people don't really improve 25% more on anything. It'd be like a rusher. I don't know. I feel like 25% is a lot. I'm trying to figure out what is a good number of credit to give like a third down specialist. That'd be a third. If he played more often, he'd get more. But I want them to be able to be fairly measured if they didn't start. In games they didn't start. Usually the idea is that they just played less in those games, but sometimes it is more. Like maybe they were injured and they only got to play a little bit because they weren't the starting player. They just got in for a couple plays. But I also think third down or situational specialists exist. I want to be able to give people credit for that, like being good at something, if only for less time. I guess I could just adjust. If 0.25 seems too high, and it can't be for every game, it's just for the games. See, okay. If they played in 16 but started in 8, they only get 8, but then they have the other 8. So maybe we give them 0.25 extra to start, but we have to divide that extra down by the number of games that they did not start. Divide it by the number of games, because they're only going to get the 0.25 per game for the games they did not start. We have to divide their total per game and then multiply their per game by 0.25 divided by the number of games not started. Right? Because we want to give them, it's 0.25 per game not started. Started. We can't count those games, but we can count those games. So it'll be 0.25 times the number of games not started. It's their per game average. So if the per game average is divided out for every game they did play in, so 0.25, I mean, the number I can change. I'm not worried about that. I'm just using 0.25 right now. So if they didn't start for 8 games, we give them an extra 0.25 for those games they didn't start. So it's going to be 0.25 times the games not started. And that's how much of their total we will give them. No, not of their total. Can't be of their total. Because the total, some of that is not to be increased. Oh boy. Not the total, it's 0.25 times the number of games not started. Then we give them that much more on the per game total, just to increase those games not started. 0.25 times games not started. We could divide it. Could divide it by games started. Nope, can't do it by games started. I'm doing it all in my head too. I should probably be writing this down. Probably easier. We can't do it for games started. I can do, but if I do it by, if I want to give them 0.25 games not started extra, but that's per game. So if they average X amount per game, and then we give them extra 0.25 per game. We just go 0.25, right? I mean, if I just divide it up to all the games and then just give them 0.25, but that wouldn't work because it's not consistent. It implies that they get it for every single game. And they don't get it for every single game. They only get it for the number of games that they actually didn't start. If they started, then they were in full time and they don't get an extra decimal point. I could do the 0.25 for one and then multiply that amount. That's what I'll do. That amount times the games not started. And then, all right. Let's try this. Let's see what happens. Okay, so if we have passes defensed divided by games played, and then we're going to have adjusted games played, which is going to take this off. I'm going to go here. Let's whack that. Times, we're going to go games not started. Games not started. Bonus equals get control modifier. Get control modifier. Well, individual. Get games not started bonus. Games played, not started, bonus. Okay, it's the same thing. I think that's what I did. Games not started, bonus. Okay. Which I'm going to set that to, what did I set it to? I know I have it, so let's go see what I actually use that as. 0.1. I only gave him a tenth instead of a quarter. I'm going to try with a quarter. You know, seems like a lot, but we'll try it. I don't know why, but I feel like it's the right way to go. And then we're going to say passes bonus equals passes defense per game times games not started bonus. Times player Book 64 player dot game started or games played minus player dot game started. So we're going to get the bonus is going to go pass defense per game. All right, so passes defense bonus equals their games not the bonus percent, and then we're going to give them that amount for however many games they did not start. And then that pass defense bonus will be added onto the adjusted bonus. Oh wait, nope. So if the amount they get is only for the games, that's the amount they get. They only get it for the games they did not start. That's the bonus that adds on to the passes defensed. I feel like there's a more direct way to say the same thing. I feel like I'm kind of bouncing around, because if I go, all right, well, I want there's got to be a simpler way to write what I'm writing. So we have, this is how many defense plays they have. Okay, for every game. But then I want to give them a bonus for the games that they did not start. So we got passes defense per game times the bonus, which is like 0.25 or something. And then we got to say, okay, well, they're going to get that 0.25 extra of the per game amount times the number of games they did not start, but they played. It's games played minus games started. So if there's 2 or 3 or 4, whatever, they're going to get that. They're going to get that little extra defense bonus. But the problem is that is multiplied by how many times they did not start, which is the grand total of this, not this. So that amount needs to be added into the... So I actually need it to be this value. We're going to call this passes defense. Defense passes. Here we're going to go. Really, I should have passes defensed, which is a defensive stat. Do they keep track of them separately? So we got individual defense. We got passes defensed, but there also should be like interceptions, right? Because there's INTs. I don't know. Does my buddy Cortana know the answer to this? Copilot, I mean Cortana. Remember Cortana used to be Copilot, but now.
Hey, Kenneth.
So in the NFL, do the players who have... let me rephrase this. Okay, so in the NFL, when you're doing passes defense, does that include interceptions, or is interceptions separate from passes defense for defenders?
Nah, interceptions aren't separate. Passes defensed include both breakups and interceptions. It's basically any play where a defender disrupts a pass. Interceptions are just the cherry on top. You doing a bit of football research?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm developing a football game.
Nice. Developing a football game sounds like a massive project. How are you tackling the challenge of balancing realism with fun gameplay, especially with something like passes defensed? There's a lot of nuance to capture.
Indeed, and yeah, it's trying to get the realism of the players. I'm using real stats to develop the skills of the players. So how these players perform will be dependent on how they actually performed in real life. But I also wanted to make sure that when I'm considering how many plays they've defensed, interceptions are considered either as an addition or as a part of that. So that's where I'm at right now.
That makes sense. Using real stats will definitely add to that authenticity.
Okay, so I'm not too concerned with cutting her off. Because, she's not real. But it is pretty impressive how that talks. So I don't need to worry about interceptions. Passes defensed kind of covers that. So let's go ahead and continue on. We'll just go with passes defensed. So a passes defensed per game is going to be what I use to get their passes defensed bonus, which I'm going to calculate out here, since it's only based on the games they did not start. And then we're going to have to go adjusted. Well, I don't need to do that. But what we will do is we're going to go passes defensed plus passes defensed bonus, which is how many total. And then we're going to go games played. But this should get me my adjusted passes defensed per game. So this is giving me my grand total. This is how many they're going to get for their entire skill. So this is actually... What I don't have, though, is how that rates. Oh, this is how much they're getting. And then we're going to have my Did I not use games in a season at all in this? I think I'm not weighting it because I'm not using that anymore. Games in a season. Yeah. Guess that doesn't matter. What I should do is only give them a percentage of the how they did in the games that they did play, which means I would use games in a season because they may not have played all of them. So we're going to have we don't want the full amount of team passes against. So we're going to have something like team pass plays against this player is generally going to be some fractional because I can only adjust for what I know for total yards, but it's going to be divided by or multiplied by games in season times player games played. Right? So if they only played, no, not multiplied by, did that backwards. Okay, so games played, if they have 8 divided by 16 would be 0.5. They're only going to have 5 of the total plays against, 0.5 of the plays total against them, right? Okay, so that means we're going to have team pass plays against, and then we will divide that here, which will get their actual skill. So this is their how many times they defended. These are the plays that went against them because they were only in during those games. And then we gave them a little bit of bonus to make sure that they get a little bit more credit. Whether I adjust that or go up or down based on that will be dependent later. What I should probably do now, I have my formula done. So we're going to say something like calculate a bonus to balance players that did not start in the game. Measured against played. Add in the bonus and divide games played for the defense. Something they spent the team plays against. Is the number of games the player was actually a participant in. Yeah. Now pass defense skill and that. All right, so now I'm not scaling it just yet. I do want to scale it, but I don't know what these numbers are going to be. So I think we've actually got my numbers. But what I do want to do is some logging because I need to see what these numbers actually produce. So we're going to do format.log. Is it log? I thought it was format.log. No, it's print. Format. print. Right? And yeah, let's do that. Okay. Format. And the options for me, so we're going to go player games. Go player.name, player.position, and then we're going to go player.games played. Okay. So this will just get the games played, their position. I just want to see what they play. And then we're going to go passes, advanced. This defense. And we're going to go passive defense bonus. The passive defense bonus. And still, there you go. The reason I'm stopping there, I thought about putting in the actual adjusted passes defense per game, but oh, ED bonus, ED skill. Because it's not that hard to add that up. And these are just divisions by the number of games, and that's going to be calculated in there, but we're going to figure this out based on that. Okay, so we're going to have this print, and we'll just see what that does. Now, at some point, I got to add this in, but I got to get some numbers. So let's go ahead and do the run skill. I actually did a lot of the tackle skill too, so I should probably finish that one as well. Now I have sacks, tackles, special teams tackles, miscellaneous tackles. Sacks are separate, so that works. That's our total tackles, which is sacks, blah, 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 divided by adjusted games played, which is I'm not doing now. We're actually going to do the same process I did with this other one. Is there anything I can do that standardizes how I did this other one? If it's based on, I could do something where I just pass in the games played and started and just return a value, because it's going to be like, no, because I'm using games and season is not part of that. I calculated the defense bonus and the game's not started bonus, which is this. Now, but I would have to pass in the value that I'm going to measure against. I'm just trying to decide what I can do here that can be shared. You know, take some basic logic and go, okay, well, based on this, I can do blah. You know, so I can do like this whole thing. Like, what if I just passed in passes defensed in, and I can calculate this whole thing. So if I passed in the value that I wanted, and then it would go, all right, well, here's the value we're going to adjust. It's going to be based on games played. But then I can calculate stuff like the game's not started, because I think it's only calculated it's only used right there. And then we have the games in season, which again is only used as part of the team path plays against. Oh, that's not even part of the same calculation. That's being used in a different thing. That's being used to determine how many plays against, which is a different thing altogether. But if I wanted this little tidbit to be consistent and standard against how I adjust players based on their not starting, I think I want that to be a little bit of a function. So what I should do is take this value and go to my utilities, because I want to be consistent. I don't want to accidentally write it different for another thing. So I could do something like, and the one I'm not using anymore, get games played skill modifier. I don't even think that's what it's called. I don't think I'm doing that. It's called, the only thing I need is this, which is there. And since I'm not using that anymore, oops. Now we got passes defensed, but what I would like to do is call this as a function. We'll just call it adjusted passes defensed equals get adjusted get games play game played adjusted gameplay gameplay adjusted stat. And then in there we will call, well, what do we need in the next thing? We need to pass in control modifier. We need to pass in, actually we don't even need to pass in that. We just need to pass, I can get that, but yeah, nope, it's going to have it in there. So we'll pass in the control modifiers. So I can just get it there, modifiers. So I don't have to get it here. And then we're going to pass in, I'll pass in passes defensed, which should be capitalized because that's the way you do this. We have to have player games play, game started. I think that's all I need. And I can divide it by their games played on my own. I just want the adjusted amount so that it's consistent throughout all my calls. So we're going to take this guy now. It should return exactly this. So we're going to go to my utilities. And we're going to go here. Which already has this. Oh no. We did call that the same, right? Oops. Good point. Games played, not started bonus, individual. Okay, so now we need to bring in the right values, which would be over here. Change this. That's it. Okay, take this one out. All right. And then we have to pass in my stat to adjust in all these spots where passes defense is. That. Game. And we have our not started bonus, which is set, and we have games played, int, and game started, int. Do I use games in season? Do I even use games in season in this? I don't think I'm using it. And it's supposed to be lowercase and lowercase. And then we have this, not has to be anything. Classes defense bonus would be that bonus. Oops, did I not actually bring in the whole thing though? What else am I missing? So we're getting the bonus. What I probably should do is get the adjusted all the way back here. Yeah, if I'm missing one thing, I got to add them together and return it. So we're going to go back here. We're going to go return that adjust plus stat bonus. And then we have to go back here. Stick adjusted passes defense. Let me drop it in here. Thus, simplifying that, hopefully, by making it more complicated. And then we can pass in let's go just the passes defensed, PD adjusted, capital D. All right. Now we can do the same thing on some of these others, which should simplify them or make them be consistent in their own development. So let's go ahead and let's update my, I think I've got this. It's ready for test, which isn't to say it's ready, but we will put this in testing. And then we can go down to here and do the same thing for tackle skill. Now, it's a little bit different set of values, but we will get the sacks because they are separate. Tackles, tackles, tackles. Now we have our total tackles, which is everything, but we need to get the, we're going to do the same thing. Adjusted total tackles equals get gameplay right. Wait, did I not add them all up? Oh, I didn't do that. I didn't add them all up yet. So we got to do this first. I mean, I could, but that'd be dumb. So we're going to do this. Total tackles. I didn't even total my total tackles. Jeez. And for simplicity, what I call them total tackles. Because it is different when you include them both. So we're going to have those. And then we will go man, stop it. Adjusted. Total tackles. Okay. Then doing the same thing I did up here, we will go adjust the total tackles and sacks, and we will just put this here. And divide by games played, like I did up there. Get rid of this. And then the tackle skill. Will be much in the same way derived here. And team tackles have to be adjusted in much the same way. But this is going to be plays against. So it's going to be all plays, defensively speaking. So we need to have this guy. And I should probably go ahead and get this too. Team plays against and not total. Oh. He's against. Doesn't look like I have that calculated, but team plays against. Adjusted by the amount of game plays the player actually played. And we're going to go down here and we will go skill right there. All right. And again, do something like this. Tackle. Base tackles. Weighted against plays. Weighted against team. Defensive. I don't have a check. Oops, team tackles. What is wrong? Get total tackles. Who's missing here? It's plays against. Why are my team tackles not being calculated into the total tackles and sacks? Team plays against. What did I do wrong? Total pass plays against. Oh, I see what it is. That's plays against. Am I not dividing by the number of tackles? Just like this is number of pass plays against. But tackles are based on the number of plays against. So no. Oh, I see. Question is, did I do it right? Okay, so the way I'm doing it right now is how many tackles do they have of all the plays they had against them? Or do I weight it? It doesn't really matter, I think. I can weight it against the total number of tackles made and the team. How were they in? But I think if you have a bad tackling team, you're going to have less tackles, right? It's like the other team scores a lot more. Which means I think your numbers would go down the more your team plays, which makes you a less good player because your team is getting more plays. If your team is really good at tackles, the other team gets less plays. There's going to be less plays against you, which is going to give you a higher percentage, which is going to be better for you. But if you only base it on the tackles your team actually made, I think plays against is better than tackles. I think plays against means it's going to have a better weight against how you played. I think if you base it on the plays, the tackles made by your team, maybe you made less tackles, but it's because the other team scored more. There were a lot of big plays, and there wasn't a need to tackle as often. So you made less tackles. Your team made less tackles because they were bad, and you had a high percentage of them, which would give you too much credit. If your team was really good at tackling, they might have more tackles, terminating a lot more drives, because and the other team isn't scoring. Ultimately, it's about opportunity, and I think it might come out kind of close, but I'm going to go plays because I think it'll weight better it'll say more about how good you were in relation to your team and the league if you're basing it against how many plays your team actually had. Okay, so that means I need to adjust one other skill here. Let's go here. We'll hit save just to make sure I have it saved. What's the complaint here? check that out in a minute. But I do need to go look at the team skills. And I think I have total plays. Run plays against, pass plays against. I don't. Let's say plays against. Oh, and I think it's just PLY. If I remember correctly. Total PLY. All right. So with that said, I think I have that one almost complete as well. Total plays against. Oh, did I not create the actual function for it? No, you did not. How many? I'm up to 600. I need to split this one out too. I don't like 600. I'd rather have smaller files. It's too much, man. So get team plays by type. Turns the number of plays by specific type for a team. Get all team stats summary. I think some of these things the AI decided, hey, let's give you these things when I had help me build this stuff. Some of them, wait, what? Get all team stats summary. Get team stats summary. So this one doesn't, oh, this is all the teams. Geez, that'd be interesting to see what some of those come out to, but I don't know how well it's calculating this stuff. Get league total defensive plays. See, that's another thing. I was calculating some stuff to balance everybody out based on league plays. Like if the league played 20,000 plays and your piece of it was X, that puts everybody in the same ratio. But it's a little bit of a misnomer, right? Again, if your team balanced out differently, they took a bigger chunk of the plays or less of a chunk of the plays, maybe you're not getting enough credit for your stats. Because it depends on what it is. It's hard to measure against the league's total, but it has to be kind of in relation to how good your team is or bad your team was, which will have an effect on how well you performed, right? Pass plays against. So we're going to go here and just go plays against. Against. All right, so we have that one. Now we've got our defense skill, our tackle, pass defense skill, tackle skill. I think this one is about ready for test. Let's do the same thing here. Put these in. I still have to figure out the scaling factor, but that's going to have to do with what numbers I get back here. Skill. And we don't have a scale value yet. Okay, so we're going to skip on that. I don't have any idea what this is supposed to be returning. I don't know what true is. Such a success. It didn't blow up on me. I don't know what that's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be a success failure mark, but I don't have I'm not even capturing errors right now. It's just, I know I should be capturing errors. I got to do that. But one of the things I got to do, one of the plans I have is to create a error logging system where I see all these, well, these aren't error logs, but if once I start putting in these error checks, whenever something blows up, it puts it in the system and tells me, okay, this is the function, this is um, the the function, the file, all the stuff that would be relevant to me. And I also have different checks, like where is it in the code, because I don't always have a definable piece of information that's going to come back from the error that I could just look up the error or something like that. Sometimes it's an error that's system generated. So maybe the error triggered on line 52 or 53 or whatever, and I need to know where it happened. It doesn't always tell you that. Sometimes it can, but I got to make sure my error logging captures that stuff, so I know where errors are occurring, and I can go, okay, well, this happened here, and this is kind of what was happening before that. And certain processes, I need to figure out. I need to create a thread situation where every action has a set of logs that are occurring. You go say save so and so, and it goes through and makes calls that go through the gateway, goes through the what do you call it, services, and goes through the store, and all those steps, all those things that are happening throughout a call get saved and logged. If there's an error at the end of the process, it's nothing happens. It saves it all in the log. If there's no error and we get all the way through and we're able to complete the thread, the process, then it can clear the log. But the idea is to kind of have a full action. Every step, everything that goes through gets logged. Log, 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 log. Error. We can go back and go look up that error and find all the stuff that happened in that thread call. So what I need to do is start creating a more robust handling of everything that's happening en route to a particular error. And I also, what that means is I have to keep track of a lot of different information for this to happen, right? So we have a user logged in, we have certain things happening on every call. And I think it's doable. I know it's doable, and it would have probably been good to have that set up at the beginning, but at the same time, I didn't know all the stuff I wanted to do with it. So I've designed an error handling system that we're going to have to implement, and it's going to take a little time to put it in. But ultimately, I think it's going to be very useful, just like creating that ClickUp log was, even though it took me a week to write that. It took me a week off my development. Now I can keep track of this. So we're going to go ahead and update this one here to testing. And then let's go do the run defense skill. This is not in backlog. This is in development. We'll call it in development, not ready for development. And then we have to basically, it's going to be the same bunch of stuff, just different numbers, right? So on this one, it's the run defense skill, which is a lot like the pass defense skill, except instead of pass stuff, we're going to get run stuff, which means it's almost the exact same function, except instead of passes. So run defense skill is going to be things like, this is passes defensed. But run defense skill is going to be, while stuffs are involved in tackles, that's going to be tricky. I guess, well, I do have run plays against, so let's go do that. Let's go get run plays. Let's get the basics, which are these two items. Put those in here. Wait, what? Why not? I just copied these, but okay. Total. Why do I have it called run plays against? Oh, because it's team. Yeah, run plays. Okay, so now tackles for loss, which is a stuff of value. There. Not stuff. It's not that. And I can't get sacks because sacks are not really run defense. But it's kind of like, huh? Tricky though. How do I know? That's What kind of stats do they keep track of for run defense? Yeah, see, this is defensive though. First down. Yeah, so there's not a lot here that actually calls out. It's tricky to understand one's run defense because beyond a certain point, you're tackling a player down the field, and it could be anybody. It could be a CB. I mean, it could be a wide receiver, a tight end, a running back. It could have been after a pass. So you don't always know what is a run play. I mean, you know what run plays you have against you, but if you're going to give them credit for, I mean, passes defense is one thing, but like, are you giving them credit for all their tackles, all on run plays? It's not reasonable because there was also a lot of pass plays. You don't give them credit for sacks because those are definitely pass plays, but how do you know when you're tackling somebody during a run play versus during a pass play? As you can see, there really isn't a separation. That is an interesting conundrum. How did I do it on my thing? I may have just made it simple and just called it based on their stuff capabilities. I may have made it simple, which would be how many stuffs they had and stuff yards. Willard. DB run defense. What did I do? DB run defense. What did I do to get you calculated? DB run defense. Oh, pass defense. Run stop. Stuffs divided by opposing team rush attempts. Huh. It really is just based on how many times they stuffed them. That's all it is. Huh. Honestly, I think that works because I think the way my design is to use run defense is it's really a value that is meant to subtract from the hit. The better you are at this value, it's a small value, probably anywhere from a half yard to a few yards, that gets subtracted from whatever you do to an offensive player. So if you tackle them, when you tackle them, you get this value every time. And it actually determines where a player actually got tackled on their play. So I think this actually works. It's a pretty simplistic value, but it's based on how good they are at hitting a player and basically making them take loss. Go ahead. Do the same things I did here. The opponents to balance. And stop. I actually think I want to calculate in the stuff yards as well. Tackles for loss. Because that tells me that they're trying to decide if stacks matter. Not really. It's based on run plays, which sacks are a different animal. I'm not going to count that. I mean, yeah, they do run around, and it does kind of go into playing on their sacks, but I think it's going to be interesting because I don't know. Wait. Oh. Um, what skills do I actually provide for these guys? Pass defense is ability to stop passes in the air. Punt return, kick return, speed, and run defense. What was this? Force fumbles, fumble recovery, interception, safety. Team tackle. Pass defense is about basically breaking up passes. But I mean, there are guys that are better at run stop than they are at QB. Like, so I have pass defense based on their passes defense. If I have them based on trying to decide if I need a second value that separates run defense from pass rush, because some guys are just really good at pass rush, but they're not necessarily great at run stop, right? And if I put in run stop as their standard, that means people who are great at pass rushing and people who are great at run stopping are all clumped together as one group. And I don't think that's always the case. There's been some like guys who are really good at edge rushing, but they're not good at focusing on the running back. They can just like come after the quarterback. They're focused on the QB. Running backs tend to slip through because they're not really they're not great at stopping the run. They may have that super quickness and super, ability to lunge out and take down a QB who's smaller, but maybe a tough running back just tends to bowl them over. you know? Or they miss them altogether because they're not focused on taking down the running game. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I have to be I think I need to break that up. I mean, it basically be the same thing as run stop, except I mean, really, what is it? It's your tackle skill plus your evade block skill. First thing you do is you're trying to evade block, which is going to have to do with the measurement of your sacks anyway. Then you got run stop, which is going to subtract yards from the player. So maybe I use the evade block is actually going to be the bigger, or escape the block, whatever. I think I called it escape. The reason I think it's escape block versus evade or elude or slip is that it escape can be both with contact and without. You escape a block if somebody attempts to block you, but you manage to dodge them altogether. They just don't ever make contact with you. You can also escape once you've been engaged in a block. You escape the block. Evade implies you never got blocked. You can't evade something that's got a hold of you or you're blocked in. You're not evading them anymore. You're escaping them. You can say slip block, which could theoretically, but that's kind of weird. Elude block also means kind of the same as evade. So I think escape is kind of the best. So that's why I went with escape, even though it's kind of longer term. It just seems more appropriate. It's both contact and non-contact. But honestly, I think your run stop skill plus your your escape block skill. Escape block skill is going to calculate in your ability to sack and your stuffs, and all that stuff's going to be involved altogether. Goes into your ability to escape blocks, which is going to allow you to get to a quarterback faster. That with your speed, which also takes into account some of that stuff as well, which are all going to have an effect on whether or not you make a sack. So a sack is kind of like a combination of all your skills. So it might be you're a pretty good pass rusher, but it's based on those skills that are your escape block, your tackle skill, and even your run stop. But you don't necessarily need to have a rush skill because it's just our pass rush skill because it's going to be a combination of all those things anyway. If I could take all those values and give you a pass rush skill, but it's made up of those three things, and I don't think I need to actually calculate the same thing again. I think if you're good at escape block, tackling, speed, all those things are going to come together as your pass rush skill. So maybe I'll have that skill, but it won't be calculated with stats. It'll be, well, not with direct stats. So with this one, I think we're just going to go with, we're just doing the run defense. We're going to do the same thing, and we're not going to calculate in anything else, I don't think. I can't think of any other values. I could go tackles for loss if I want to. Yeah, but see, sacks are always depth. And yeah, no, I think I'm just going to stick with it. I'm going to use tackles for loss. Okay. And oh yeah, I wanted to use yardage though. So. I don't need. Why did it put it? Why did it insist upon putting in sacks? Now yards are quite a bit more. So let's actually make this. Now this one may not matter so much on how much your plays you're in on, because it's a number derived from how hard you hit when you do hit. And therefore, I think the number of tackles for loss and the stuff yards is generally enough to calculate this number. I don't know that I need to adjust for the number of games played or stats or any of that stuff, because I mean, the only thing I can think of, I like to have every skill should have something I can tweak. But in other words, if I want to have a base value, like all these other ones have a base value, like the 0.25, how much am I going to give them over that extra time? If I do it this way, this has no tweakage, short of my adjusting the range for the scale values, which I can do. But I think really all I need is I'm trying to decide if there's even a need to have a run stop adjustment. And I was thinking, well, what if you have a guy who comes in and he sacks somebody for 15 yards and he ends up with an average of 15? But he only plays one play. Comes in, sacks a guy for 15 yards. He ends up with an average of 15. And that's like, no, I think I need to have a minimum. I typically like to have a minimum contribution. Now, he may only get one, but it needs to have some kind of, I mean, some guys only sack once a season and they had a great sack, but they may play a lot. If they get, so the question is, how do I water down players I got to give them a percentage of their success based on something. If I base it on their team's total plays, everybody's just going to get a pretty tiny fraction. Because, I mean, even the guys that get a lot of stuffs aren't going to get that many stuffs. They might get 10, 15, 20, 30 stuffs. I don't know. I mean, what is the most stuffs any guy gets? I mean, look at 8, 5, 7. I mean, these guys are pretty good players. Dominic Rogers-Cromartie, I remember him being pretty good. But look, this guy 7, 8 times. 9. This guy, Matthias Kiwanuka, which I never heard of, but he had 9.5 stuffs. John Beeson, 9.5 stuffs. Jared Allen. These guys had other things going, but overall, 8, 8.5. These are all guys that had decent numbers of stuffs. I don't know how many yards, but again, the difference between a guy who had 1 stuff. Anybody here ever get 1 that's like crazy high? They don't count sacks, so these are runs. So 1, 3, 1, 4, 1.5, 2.5. That's not a lot. Stuffs aren't usually all that big. I mean, getting a guy way behind the line of scrimmage, this guy's got an average of 3 maybe. Having an average that's more than a couple yards is pretty good. This guy had 1 for 4. That's pretty high. But what is that? Games played 14. So, but he only had 1. So if I give him a 4 and he played 14 games, that's kind of unreasonable. What I might want to do is scale everybody based on like the highest numbers and then give it. That's probably the best way. Like on their number of, yeah, that's probably the best way. I don't think I should calculate people like this guy had a half. How do you get a half and then minus 3 yards? Does that mean both of them it was a 6-yard loss, but he got help, so he got 3 yards? Or does he get credit for the full yards? Let's see what Cortana says, or Copilot says. Or Kenneth.
I'm good, Kenneth. How are you doing?
Oh, okay. Hey, so on statistics for an NFL game, you've got players that have stuffs and stuff yards. If a player only had an assist and it shows him with stuff yards, say 3, is that the total number of yards, or did he only get half of what the total was because he only had half of the stuff?
That's a good question. In NFL stats, stuff yards typically refer to the total yards lost on a tackle behind the line of scrimmage. Even if a player only had an assist on the play, they usually get credited with the full yardage. It's not split. It's not like shared credit in that sense. Does that clear it up?
Yep.
Glad I could help.
All right. So, okay, I'm assuming she knows what she's talking about. Honestly, I don't know how she knows. I mean, she really knows her NFL rules pretty well. I ask questions and she's like, oh yeah, well that's that. And she doesn't hesitate. So it's like, that's pretty good. I don't know if it's truthful or not. So she could be hallucinating. It's like, yeah, but she talks so confidently. Like, she's like, there's no doubt in her mind that she knows this is how it's done. So I take her word for it. it's not the end of the world. Either way, you know, it's like it's going to have a minor effect. But that said, we have my stuffs, and there's not that many. But some guys, like, he has a 9.5 of them. He's averaging almost 2 yards of stuff. But I think in general, players only have a couple of yards of stuff value, right? 1 to 2 yards. It's not a huge amount. It's not supposed to be a huge amount. This guy's running about 0.6. But I think it's fair to have it be based on a maximum value. So if I say a player's, or like they get a percentage. Now, if I was to weight a guy, like say the guy who had 4, he has a 4 here, this Leon Hall, right? That's kind of like the highest anybody has by a long shot. But if I weight him against a guy who's got 9.5, he'd only get a ninth of that for his figures. So a ninth of that would be like what, 0.3? Not even a whole yard, right? So it would be, is it even 0.3 or is it 0.03? If it was a tenth, which is getting close, 9.5 to 1, a tenth would only be, 0.4. So he's something 0.3 something, which is very small. It's not a lot. But is that unreasonable? No, I don't think it's unreasonable. I mean, he only got 1 stuff. It wasn't like he's a superstar. I think that's reasonable to say, let's weight him against the highest numbers. Now, some of these guys, look at it, he had an 11, and he averaged 2 yards. Clay Matthews, oh yeah, I remember him. He was a brute. He was amazing. But maybe I weighted against a control modifier that we say 10. So everybody gets full credit if you're above 10. Because it's at that point, things balance out pretty good. And I don't think you have to necessarily be maxed out. Because if I divided it by something like 11, 12, 13, I don't know who gets the most stuffs. Let's see what the historical record is for the most stuffs in a season.
Hey, Kenneth.
What is the record for the most stuffs in an NFL season?
The record for the most stuffs in an NFL season is held by Aaron Donald, who recorded 32 stuffs in the 2014 season. Donald's performance that year was remarkable and showcased his ability to disrupt opponents' plays in the backfield. Quite a feat, huh?
Yeah, how many yards did he stuff for?
In 2014, Aaron Donald had an impressive season, but the stats focus more on tackles, sacks, and tackles for loss, rather than yards stuffed. He finished the season with 9 sacks and 18 tackles for loss, earning him the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year award. Quite the debut.
That's funny. They don't have stats. Oh, she doesn't know the stuff yards. So it's 2014. I have to know. 2014 NFL defensive. Let's go to Pro Football Reference. And let's go to individuals. Standard fantasy passing. Position. Do they not have individual player stats? Really? They don't do NFL oh, here's defense. Safety, fumbles. This one doesn't have they don't have stuffs here. All right. (2014) NFL Defensive stuffs. Stuffs? All right, let's go defensive tackle. She said it was Sam Donald. Sam Darnold? Donald? See what this one says. Tackles, receptions, fumbles, sacks. Yards lost, sacks, total receptions. Nope. Most tackles for loss in the NFL by a defensive lineman. Tackles for loss, TFL. A lot. But doesn't answer my question because it's the wrong year. Tackles, assist combos. So they have the number of tackles for loss, but apparently tackle yards may be tough to actually calculate, which is going to make my if I can't find that, I hope I can find it. NFL defensive tackle for loss stats. Tackle for loss. That's sacks. Huh. I don't even got anything in it. Huh. Well, that's going to be interesting. I have the stat. Tackle for loss stats. 2020 NFL tackle for loss stats. Team rankings. This doesn't have it because it's not a thing. Passing, rushing, reception. This is a weird layout, man. Tackles, touchdowns. Interceptions, fumbles. This shows you who the best person at it was. Wouldn't be very helpful. So, Sam Donald. Tackles for loss. But no yards. Huh. That's going to be interesting now because apparently I had tackle for loss yards, but it's only available. I mean, maybe it exists in terms of some statistical location, but I can't get it right now for any season other than the one I have, which is interesting. Then he had the record was 32 by Sam Donald, but that's only 18. The most he had was 25, and that was 2018. That's kind of a mislead. Did he have 20? No, he didn't have 20 sacks. Really? I thought the record was like 12 or 13 in the season. The record is 20? Oh, I'm impressed. I mean, I knew he was good. I just didn't realize he had 20 plus sacks in a season. I thought the record was a lot lower than that, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's sacks in a game? I don't even know if that's the record, but it seems like it's pretty close. The Broncos had one of the better pass rushers for a long time. He was dominant at the same time Aaron Donald was. But I thought they said Sam Donald. I don't even know where Aaron Donald. How did Aaron Donald get in there? Okay, so the stat I'm looking for doesn't exist. Interesting. I thought maybe when she said it wasn't available, it just meant she didn't know what it was, because I know, though, it's available in 2009. Basically, that's not even a thing. Solo, assist, total. Okay, well, do they keep track of it like beyond that? 2009. Maybe at one time they kept it, but don't anymore. Oh yeah, there it is. Tackles TFL. They have it for those for 2024. All the way back to 17, but they didn't really have it for. They didn't even have it for 14. And again, all this shows is. But starting in 2016, they started keeping track of that. But again, it's this tackles for loss is not technically a sack, so why is it in here? And a sack is a sack, so that's a different thing. This should be TFL, should be just over here maybe, but all right, well, whatever. So I do have tackles for yards, but it's gonna be tricky to find stuff yards if in fact I can only get that by team or individual defense. I mean, it may exist under other circumstances, other types of setups, but I may have to figure out a different way to do this. Stuffs are tackles for loss. But I may have to come up with a standard amount for stuff. But that doesn't work because a standard amount would be incorrect because you can't give them the same amount. How am I going to do it without? How am I going to get my number? If my number, I'm just going to have to hope I can get it. I don't know. I'm hoping that there's a stat line somewhere that shows me stuff yards because I am really and truly not sure. I mean, obviously, I have it here in 2009 stats, but I'm going to need it for every year after that. And it probably exists in some world, but I don't have it. So we're just going to have to gamble and hope it exists when I need it. We will see. Oh, you know, I didn't even realize. Did I actually do that? I have two things that are yards. This is sack yards. I have to rename this. Hey, who's gonna go see Superman? I want to go. Somebody's using my membership to go see Superman. We have multi generations that have the same name, so they can use my AMC stubs list. Must be Casey, my oldest. I want to go see Superman again. I think it's a good movie. I want to just. I wouldn't mind seeing Lilo and Stitch either. I haven't seen that yet. I know. Lilo and Stitch, that's a kid's movie. So what? So what? All right, let's go back. How long have I been? What's my time? I'm at 2 o'clock on my second stream. Oh my gosh. I want to get this done. I got two of them done. Let's see if I can get this one done. We're going to assume I can get this. Assume, make a ace out of you and me. Which means it's going to be stuffy odds. This is defensive stats. So I have stuffs. We're going to have to go here. Okay, stuff. Yards. And yards. Tackles, double tackles. I'll take this one. Try to put it next to stuffs, which is here somewhere. Oh, stuff yards right there. Oh, wait, nope. Oh. No. I put the home of this in. Stuff. Stuff. On the page, right? In defense. in defense. All right. Gonna get me my stuff yards, and then we're not. I am gonna scale them, but I'm gonna need to get a control modifier for this. We're gonna call this in the season. We're gonna have control modifier individual. Stuff. Oh, my. What is skill modifiers JSON? We got to take this individual. Whoops. I don't like calling it modifier. That's skill. Because they're modifiers. Why do I need to write modifier on it? Like, seems a little silly. Do I have a stuff one already? Let's make sure I don't have a stuff one already. Nope. Drop it in here. I'll say then we go to set skill. And then we'll take stuff skill modifier. We're gonna go. I don't know if I need that thing here, but we're gonna go here and we're gonna say I think I used to actually call it stuff skill. Run. We'll call it run. Uh, yeah, run skill equals stuff yards divided by tackle for loss times tackles for loss divided by no. Wait. Yeah, divide by 10. It is divide by 10. Okay. Divide by 10. If they have 10, they'll get 1. Okay, so it's divided by tough skill modifier. And we'll say math max 1. Did I do that wrong? I'm going to put my math function in there. There it goes. Okay. I don't think I need this. Don't care about that. Means I apparently don't need that. But they do need to have a ratio of the actual plays at a minimum of 10. But we'll have a max of 1. So if it ends up being 1 or more, didn't I call that stuff yards? Get stuff yards? It didn't work. Or did I not? Oh, I didn't save it. Pretty sure I had get stuffs yards. Stuffs yards? No, stuff yards. And, I gotta go back up to this one. Make sure that stuff yard. Just stuff, man. Just stuff. Not more, not less. Just stuff. All right, so we got run defense skill. Calculate a bonus to balance. I did not start. No, I don't need to do that. I'm not doing that in this one. But we do want my players to have done something. I think most the default value is going to be 0. So do something like if loss equals 0, return 0. Okay. This will protect me from the nonsense. Let's leave. And this one I can cancel out for now because I haven't decided what that's going to be. All right, I think I got it. We got my tackle for loss, stuff yards, which is basically the number they're going to get to use. Hopefully I'll be able to pull that out, but I want them to have at least 10. Otherwise they get a fraction based on how many they actually have. It can go really high. Some guys get tons and tons of them. You get full credit if you have at least 10 stuffs. Otherwise you get fractionals. So yeah, if you only have one, you're not going to get a bunch. But hey, that's what happens. You don't get back there. You don't get credit. Everybody else gets credit. I think we're good. Let's go ahead and run this over to, let's see, that's defense. Let's go ahead and run this into testing. Testing just means I got to write the tests. I got to do the testing part. Everything I have, what the heck is escape block kill? Escape block kill, what the heck is that? I don't think that's a thing. Escape block kill. What the heck? Did I actually call it escape block kill? Oh, it's skill. Somehow I lost my S. Skill. Block kill. Okay. We've almost got this fully compiled. The only thing I don't have is escape block, which is going to be pretty important at a point. I don't even have anything in there. Oh, I actually set up a stuff skill, but I don't think I need that. I think that's a... that's... Well, that looks way complicated. What was I calculating there? That looks complicated. I'm not going to have that. I don't need a stuff skill. I have my run skill. Run skill is going to determine how good they are at that, plus whatever other skills you have involved are going to make the difference. So run skill is kind of like it's a special thing. Every player can get this, have this, but most of them are just going to be straight ups. So it depends on who you're tackled by. Don't get tackled by guys with high run skill, because you're going to be smack dab and smack in the face. Some guys are just good at tackling, but they won't have a negative on you. But other players, they might. Okay, so I think we've kind of got that done. Let's hear. Get team stats. I don't know. That in a minute. Go ahead and close this. I gotta figure out what this is. What's going on with that? Undefined get team stats. What do you mean undefined? That's right there, man. So I have this. I noticed that GitHub Copilot has this Copilot consumptions. I'm at 74% on the 20 seconds. So I'm pretty good. At this point, it's starting to look unlikely that I hit the limit, which is nice. Because I'm only going to be able to do this today and tomorrow. And then I'm going to be very minimally hitting it over the course of the next week or so. There might be a couple of hours here and there, but it looks pretty good for me to be able to continue using Copilot all the way till the end of the month, and then I start over again. So we'll see. August is going to have a little bit of a break back. So, I mean, again, I'll still be traveling the first part of the year, month, so I should have a pretty good chance at getting through there. I do hope at some point to start getting backers. Hey, if anybody wants to back me and help me out in this game, I could sure use it. Unemployed guy trying to get this game made. If you like this game, you want to see it made, you can back me on KoFi right now. That's really all I got. And Patreon. I think I even have the stream elements set up. You can go there too. Whatever one works for you. I don't have a PayPal set up, but I think Patreon uses PayPal. I don't know. But if you want to help out in that way, that's great. I could use it. If not, just subscribe, follow, and come and chit chat about it. I could use your help in other ways, like feedback. What do you think? Am I going in the right direction? Is there something I'm missing that I'm not planning for? Maybe there's something you want to know if I am planning for it, because there's a lot of things I am planning and I just don't have them in place yet, as I continue to move on to the next item each time. So be sure to ping me when you have if you have any questions about where I'm going with this. All right, so we need to fix this. Referencing my team stats. No, that's not really. I don't think that's it. No, that's not the problem. I totally missed it. It's like it says right here, man. Hmm. The error. I was referencing. What, really? You got that. All right, so now this guy's got an issue. Well, I already know what the problem with that one is. That's not a thing, man. In this package. This package is mean. It's so cool. Yeah, it's skill control modifier by type. For skill means store.go. Get skill control modifier by skill control modifier by type. The skill. It's also in store.skills, which is a problem. They do appear like that in the store.go and the store underscore skills. Which I use. All right, so I think I have a situation. I have a skill control modifier by type in the skill store as well as in the store. So gotta fix that. Where are you looking in AMG on? Specifically, function this of the code which is right and when I get rid of okay, so we're gonna go here and put this in up here, I guess. Right. Now, point of that should take care of that problem. We're looking pretty good. According to this, I don't have any more bugs, except for what's in my test, which I'm not sure what's going on with that one. So I had test utils or something utilities that had wrong. Get that. I'm gonna have a lot of calls to this. Get total. I'm trying to figure out why my code is not working. Well, I thought this had... Oh, one of these had a test function capability, but apparently not. Source skill, special team stats test. Test util. Oh yeah, it's right here. Oh, test control modifiers. That's the one that's supposed to be. I changed its name so that it stood out. And then I forgot to change it back. Hey, Nintendo, it has indeed been a very long time, man. How you holding up these days? Keeping busy? Getting lots of work? I'm hoping so. Hopefully you haven't been sick still. Don't know why that's complaining. Don't know what you got up your sleeve there, dear. But I do think everything's working. So now it's time to start writing my tests. Got all my stuff decoded. This came back to haunt me for a while, huh? Sucks to be dead. I'm gonna go back and hunt some streamers for a day or two. Have you seen Superman? It's pretty good. I gotta say, I liked it. I know some people said, oh, they don't like it because whatever. They think they're political reasonings, but I think overall, I think they did a pretty good job with it. I don't know. I want to go see. It's good enough, but I want to go see it again. And I rarely want to see movies again. I mean, it's not that I don't like some. It's just like, I really want to go. But it's going to come down to if I have an opportunity to go see it. I don't go see movies by myself, and that's the thing. All right, so I think I have all these. Now I need to get to see if I can get these skills. I don't have a defensive test. Huh. I need to write one. All right, so let's go to agent. Let's see, what have I not done? Oh, I finally got my DoorDash to allow me to take a pic. I haven't actually gone and DoorDashed. It wasn't letting me update it for a long time. It says you need to update your photo, and I kept trying to, and it would not work. Would not work for a long time, for months. Finally, I tried it, and it worked. It let me do it. I don't know. Don't know what changed, what miracle they decided to go ahead and let me reconnect, but I still haven't gone out and made my pittance of money from it. I should. I should go out and do it, but I've been on vacation. I went camping this last weekend, and then I'm going to go do some cross country in with my wife and daughter. Not cross country skiing, like cross country driving. We're gonna just drive and visit family and do some sightseeing. And we're not going all the way across country. We're going about 60% of the way. We're gonna go out to Nebraska and then back to Colorado and then back home. So it's gonna be a long trip, but it'll be kind of fun. I will be getting some work done, but I don't know if I'll be streaming it all because I don't know how I'm gonna do that if I do. But we leave Thursday, so my last streaming will probably be tomorrow for a little while. So if I can get these tests done, I can have all of my defensive skills, or most of my, probably not all of them, but a lot of my defensive skills done. I have my general skills mostly done, defensive skills, some offensive skills, not all of them, but we're getting there. And then I got to do my skill testing. What I might actually do is not do my skill testing yet and actually create my player database. Once I have these skills in place, I need to create a player database so I can create some teams and start working on how I'm going to generate teams. Like say when a player first joins the game, they need to have both a default playbook, with something in it, so that they can add plays to plays, and then have a way. Oh, I'm going to give them default plays that they can add to their playbook, which will probably by default be in their playbook. Or maybe I'll have them walk through on how to. I have to figure out how to do an automated. The thing is, I hate tutorials. I mean, all right, let me rephrase that. I don't hate tutorials, but I hate forced tutorials. I don't mind things telling me how to do stuff, but I don't like things that like make me go through things that I don't want to do right now. Like, for example, a lot of the gacha games, right? You have to go through their whole spiel of you have to click here, you have to go there, you have to do this, you have to do that. You could spend 20 minutes going through a game of it telling you how to do everything. And what I might do is have like a help button. I got to create a whole navigation thing that says, on any page, if you have any questions, click the help button. And then they can click help and it'll tell you what you can do, or, have some kind of a way to, like, you can fiddle around with it, figure it out yourself, or you can have some guidance. But I don't want to make people force them to go through the tutorial. Their choice. I like to fiddle with things and just guess. I just don't like things that give me a 20-minute tour and I'm like, I don't have 20 minutes. I just want to fiddle with stuff. Leave me alone. All right, so test get speed skill. Actually, did I finish the speed skill? I think I need to adjust my speed skill. I already feel like that's not going to be right, because I felt like there's one thing I did not calculate into my defensive speed skill, and I think I need to add that. So it's a little bit of an adjustment I'm going to need to make. I think. Right, so I am going to go to the agent and following the same format of the set general skills go test. We need a test file that defensive level. Go. 3 data-driven tests for each of the defensive. Oops. Yeah. Defense skill. Get tackle skill and get one defense skill. Also, it should have this stuff for testing the get the ready to test that having and no other file. Okay, so I have some tests that ran pretty good, and I really like the way they worked, like for the general skills as well as some of the offensive skills. And really what it does is it creates a nest for, or a selection of, grabbing a certain number of players from the database and then just dumps out a bunch of stats onto my screen, who all these players, how they did. And when I run these skills, I can just see, okay, well, how did we do? How many guys did we generate stats for? And what kind of numbers am I getting back? Are we looking pretty good for what I want? So all of my skills, probably not all of my skills. So, all right, so there's a couple of games out there that I've noticed that they do things that are kind of interesting, and I have to kind of decide my route as far as rating players. Okay, so there's your general way. A lot of them just give a number, and this guy's a 79, this guy's an 89, this guy's a 92, this guy's a 63, which is very generic. It does tell somebody how that player should be better, and it might have some things like how he does with this thing or that thing, but it's all very generic. Typically, those are the card collecting games where they're basically just money grabs. Pay us money, we'll give you cards, and maybe you'll get somewhat high numbers in them. They're lower chance, but you might get them. Then there's games that actually try have put stats in, but they also come up with a number. So there's a game called The Program. It's a college game, and I've mentioned this one before. It's pretty good. Your players have an overall value. So when you're out scouting players and doing your thing with trying to find players for your next season, you're trying to scout them for, you want to try to get them to commit to your team. And they get a number, and their stats are a little different. And the way it kind of rates them is kind of interesting. So you get a single length bar, and it's going to be a number like any number from 25 to 55 or whatever. I mean, it could be anything. I mean, I've seen guys that can go up into the 50s. They might even go up into the 60s. I don't know. But you have really low numbers. They can even be in the teens. I don't think I've ever seen anybody in the single digits, but they're pretty low. And then they have a bar that says, but it always takes up the full bar, and it's like, this is his rush skill, this is his defense skill, this is his pass defense skill, this is whatever their character, their position is, and this is what they are. The only problem with that is two guys could have identical bars, but one's a 20 and one's a 50. So obviously the 50 guy may have a really tiny red bar on one piece, and the other guy's got a bigger red bar But this guy's tiny bar is probably bigger than that guy's big bar, and he's probably better at all the other skills as well. Because he's way bigger, way stronger, he's just way better. So it's not, you can't compare the bars because their overall skill makes that bar kind of a different level bar. It's kind of like comparing the best high school player to the best professional player. Yeah, he may have all these fantastic numbers, but he's still a high school player, and he's no match for this guy over here. He's got mediocre numbers, but he's an NFL player. He's way better. So your bars don't match, even though their skill stats match. So it's like the distribution of what they can do within their rating is not a head-to-head, and these guys are on the same team. So you have these bars underneath each other, and you're looking at them. It's like, well, this guy's a 15, and that guy's a 35. I'm not putting the 15 in because he's got a better this. So it's kind of a funky matchup. It's not a very good comparative. Let's see, did it create my file? It did. Is that it? Is it all done? Says it's done. Best past defense skill group. Huh. All right. Well, it says it did it. I'll have to run these and see how it goes. But anyway, so I'm trying to set up my stats. I do want everybody to be comparably compared. Everybody gets comparably compared. So, but what they're good at could vary a lot, right? So if you were to take a wide receiver who's like, say, an 85, and you have a linebacker who's also an 85 overall. See, this is why I don't like overalls, because it doesn't really make sense, right? They're both 85, but you can't stick the linebacker in the wide receiver spot because his skills, where his numbers are at, that just lets him be compared maybe in value. Like, okay, well, he's an 85. At his position, that's pretty good. He's not good at other positions. But you never know. You might get a guy who's a 75 who actually can play pretty decent QB as a backup. So maybe if you want to carry two guys and then just have this oddball QB guy who comes in, and you don't want to carry three QBs, well, you have this guy in an emergency if for some reason you lose to, right? But he's only a 75. Maybe he's a 65 at QB. That's pretty bad, but it's better than the 25 that every other buddy gets to be because they don't know how to play QB at all. So you have this guy who's capable of one thing or the other. So it's kind of like, what skills are you looking for? Because every player gets every skill in my game. Every player gets every skill. There are things, I mean, like, yeah, your lineman could probably can try to kick a field goal. He's got a kicker leg. But maybe he can only kick a 20-yard field goal, and his accuracy is going to be all over the place because he's probably not good at it. But maybe he's got a leg strong enough to boot a 30-yard field goal, but he's 50-50 on whether or not he's going to make it. Or less than that, maybe like a 10% chance of making it. You're allowed to put guys in at whatever position you want because that's how they're based. But I don't know if I want to have an overall. You know, there's every player's got their something, you know, the thing that makes them special. And I don't know if it's good to have an overall rating for players. You don't see the NFL rating all the players against each other. You see QBs are rated against QBs, receivers are rated against receivers, and they might be ranked accordingly. But that doesn't mean that, you know, that they can play any position. You know, just because they're number one at QB doesn't mean they're going to be number one linebacker. It means they could be at the bottom of they could be the worst linebacker in the entire league. But every player can be put in there. If you want to punish your quarterback and put him in a linebacker, it's like, you jerk, you lost us the Super Bowl. You're a linebacker next year. What? You're a third string linebacker. No, I don't want to be a linebacker. I'll get hurt. Now, what is it with my downstairs? It starts freezing me out as the day goes on. Temperature even went down. It's only in the 70s now. All right, guys. Well, that's it for me for now. Nintendo, thanks for stopping by. I haven't seen you in a long time, man. Ronnie, Kurama, all you guys who stopped by and said hi. I appreciate it. Hopefully, we'll get some more progress on this. I'm going to probably be back tonight, as I always am. I will probably test this out. Probably may even run it before then. I don't know. And then I think I need to start building my player database. I think I actually need to run, now that I've got a set number of skills, don't have them all, but I have, they're all compiling. I will run them, build a player database, and then I can always run the skills and build more stats as I get them in there. But by having players in my player database, I can then start working on building the actual giving teams players. I have to figure out what the logic and the build is for that yet. I have a way that my trying to decide how I want what I may end up having to do is creating a, I don't know what I want to call it, creating a dummy league. Like everybody gets a team and a league right out the game, but they won't be one mixed with other players right away. They'll be like a what do you call it, a system league. Then maybe and my thought is it's going to be a simple league, like a starter league. Like you just get to go through, you get a few games, and the idea is to get some, as the league goes on, this little sample league, you can start building up your playbook. You'll start getting players. There'll be lots of ways to add players to your team in that first little league where you start off with X players, no injuries. And you can try to draft, build, you get a certain amount of money that you're building up this team. So you're going through all the little motions that allow you to start getting a feel for how the game goes. And the game season might only be like 8 games long. It's just a little tester league, we'll call it the preseason something. Go through a preseason starter league or something, and that will walk you through the whole process. But you're put into this like little starter league to start, and then I have to randomly give players some players. So the idea is, do I let them draft their first players? Do I give them the first players and have every team have something, and then you like do a little mini draft? And you can add some more players, and then I'm going to do some waiver wires. I'll get some more players every week, and they can just kind of go through the process and just keep getting stuff for that first. And they're just players that go into the collection. So my idea is that when you join a league, the players every player has I've got to come up with a good solution on how to do this. I believe the idea is that every player has goes into the pool. If you own a player at all, he's in your collection. Now, it's not the same as having them on your team. Not every player on your team is in your collection. Not right away. You have to level them up. But you take all the players that are in your that you have. They go into this collection, into this new draft, and then those players are available to be picked. Would be a good way to do this. I thought about making people have their starter team is always their own players that they have available, and that's just their team. But it's got to be something that stays within a certain what do you call it? Salary cap. So the salary cap, they're going to get certain players, and then they can just keep getting more players that they can work with. But I'm trying to figure out how, because the things that my game currently has that aren't correct is right now I have the playbook. The plays are all plays in the game, which is wrong. You're only supposed to get the plays you have. They're your plays. And then you build your playbook out of your plays. You may have 200 plays or 100 plays or 50 plays or 10 plays, but whatever, you have those plays. Those are what you can put into your playbook. And over time, you'll get more plays. There's a lot of stuff you'll get. You'll just keep getting stuff because that's the idea. You're going to get plays and players, and each one of those can gain experience and start becoming, more. But ideally, we first give everybody their stuff. And I haven't figured out yet how I'm going to graphically enhance those cards. I have things I want to give all the cards and show borders and things like that that can have the players and all of their awards and things that are represented somehow on their card. I want to do a thing where you could see a card flip over. I don't know how to do that yet. Do a spin, because there's a back to everything. That's how panels work in Unity. But you'll see it flip over, and on the back it'll maybe show whatever other stuff, skills, stats, performance, whatever I want to do with those players, and then flip it back over, and you can see the front and what he looks like and some basic stuff on there. But that's on the player card. But I need to get all that stuff to kind of start gluing in so that when I start running a game, I don't want to have it pulling out random players for the games that are for my test, because then I have to throw away code. I kind of need to build up the string that puts everybody together. And even if it's a very basic layout, very basic stuff, I want to be able to pull in an actual team, actual players, actual playbook, and then build off that. Even if it's just very generic and I just have the computer generate that for you, at least it exists. Then it gives me a baseline for actually releasing a game and saying, hey, you've got this, releasing a beta. Because I don't want to have everybody get everything and then it just kind of gets funky. So, I want people to have a taste of what actually exists in the game, not a taste of what's not going to exist in the game. That doesn't make